Alright, so what I'm going to do in this recording is show you how to create a title block, a layout, and save this all as a drawing template so that you can use it anytime you want to. We're going to start off by going up to File and New, and we're going to use the AutoCAD.drawing template. Take that one there and click Open. So here's our new drawing. And what I'd like to do is we're going to set up with some layers and some text styles and things. So again, you don't have to do this every time you start a new drawing. So let's start off with layers. Double click on the layers property and right click here, say new layer. And we're going to call this layer image. And I'm going to leave this one as white with the default line weight. Okay. Then I'm going to right click again, do another new layer, and I'm going to call this drawing. We're going to make this some bright color that will show on both the screen and the paper space. So I'll make it this hideous fuchsia. And I'm also going to change the line weight here to 0.20 millimeters. And click on OK. And come back down here into layer properties, and I'm going to add another layer. I'm going to create a text layer. I'm going to call this text, and I'm going to make this either navy blue or black. Just because I really want it to show up. This is primarily text on the layout itself, on the paper space. And of course we can change those anytime we want to. All right. Let's also add some text styles for our title block. We're going to come up here to Annotation, choose the text style, which is the first one, and then click on Manage Text Styles, and I'm going to create two here. I'm actually going to use the same thing on both of my styles, both my fixed text and my attribute text, but you can change them to whatever you want. I'm going to click on New. I'm going to call this one Fixed Text. I found that I didn't like the smaller font size. And I'm going to change the font size here to a height of 0.10. You can change the font to whatever you want. You can make it italic, whatever works for you. And I'm going to hit Apply. And then I'm going to do another new one and call this Attribute Text. And I'm going to make this one also 0.10. So I'm not really changing anything here. Okay. And then I'm going to hit Close. Okay. So let's make sure we've got a couple of things turned on. I also want to have ortho mode turned on right now. And I also want to have my O-snaps turned on, which as you can see, I already do. All right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come down here to the layouts. I'm going to right click on this and I'm going to choose rename. You can also, I think with a Mac, you can just go in and type the name, and maybe even with a Windows machine. But what I'm going to do is you can make it letter size layout, letter size landscape, which is what we've talked about before, but I'm just going to make mine JRP layout. Those are my initials. Okay. I'm not going to do anything with the second layout, but you can see they both look the same. So click on the layout you just named, and then this, what you're seeing right here, there are two sets of lines. The dashed line is the printable area, or roughly the printable area, so what you can print. This is a piece of paper, okay? And then in here, where the grids are in this outside line, this is what we call a viewport. This is a view into this drawing. I'm going to get rid of this viewport. We're going to start right from scratch. So I'm going to click on one of those lines and hit the delete key. And we start with a blank, fresh piece of paper. Okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to start by creating our title block. So let's go up here to the drawing layer. Okay? And we're going to create a line. And I'm going to come down here. Actually, I want to blow this up a little bit by using my scroll wheel, and then I'm going to move this up so I can see the lower right corner by holding my scroll wheel down and just moving this. Okay? So it says specify the first point. You want to be inside this printable area, but you want as much paper space as possible. So I'm going to come down here as close to that as I can without actually being on the line. And then I'm going to enter 1.25 and press the enter key. It'll automatically go up 1.25. I'm going to move my cursor to the left and press 3. Move my cursor down, 1.25, hit enter, and then come over here and close this out. Then hit the enter key to say, okay, I'm done with this right now. You can hit the right mouse button or the enter key again to start a line command. And I'm going to come here, but I don't want to start my first one there. I'm going to move my cursor up, and I'm going to enter 0.3 and press enter. And you can see where it's going to go. There's my first point. My next point is going to be here, and because I have my O snaps on, it's showing a perpendicular, and that's where I want it to be. Okay. And then I'm going to hit enter to finish that set, and I'm going to start another line by doing the same thing again. I'm going to move up here, and I'm going to say 0.3. That will be relative to the line below it. And then I'm going to come over here and close this out. Hit enter to end that. And there's the start of our title block. All right. We got to have a place for our logo. So we're going to do line again, line command again. I'm going to start here. And I'm going to make this a square of 1.25 by 1.25. See how much easier it is when we have ortho on. And then we are done. Okay. This will be where our logo will go. And then we'll have title, drawn by, and the date down here. Okay. So now what we're going to do, all right, what we're going to do now is put our logo in here. So let's first go up here and change the layer to image. Whoops, and I want to change my layer, my image layer, so that it has a white outside border. All right. And then what I'm going to do, well, before I even do this, is you've got to make sure that your image is in the same location as this drawing file. If not, then AutoCAD has a hard time finding it. It says, where's the path for this thing? So we'll go up to Insert, which is right next to Home. And then we're going to go to Attach. That's the image that I want to choose. And we're going to keep all the defaults here, specify the scale on screen, and specify the insertion point on screen. So I'm going to click on OK. And I'm going to come down here inside the block that I made. And yes, I need to shut off my snaps for a second. Make it a little easier for me. You don't want to go over that line because it will erase that line, or it appears like it erases it. So you want to stay just inside that box. And you can see there's my logo. Now, if you want to move it, I want to move mine up a little bit. There we go. Easy enough, right? Now what we're going to do is we're going to put in our text. So we're going to start off by putting in our fixed text. All right, so I'm going to change my layer again and put it on text. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to text and choose single line text, making sure that I am in fixed text. So come back here to annotation. And this first one we want to do here is fixed text. Okay. And again, I made these the same, so it doesn't really matter. Single line text. And then I'm going to come down here and draw a line. Just a short line. You see this dash? That is where your text is going to go. So I'm going to type title with a colon. And then click out here. Now the easiest way to copy this, to put these other words in here and line them up, is to just use the copy command. So I am going to copy, type the word copy, and it says select the object right there, and then hit enter to say yes, I definitely want to copy that. Now it's asking you for the base point. I'm going to choose the bottom of the T just to make it easier, and then I can slide it right down here, and then slide it again right down here. And then hit enter and say we're done with that. Okay. Except for the fact they don't all want to say title. We're going to double click on this and change it to say drawn by. And then this one we'll change to say date. That is our fixed text that we're going to put there. Now what we're going to put here is going to be text that we can change at any given time. So this will always be here, but then what goes in the title, drawn by, and date can change. All right. So to do that, what we have to do is we have to type the command ATTDEF, or if you do ATT, you'll see that ATTDEF comes up automatically. Define the attribute. Okay? So our first tag is going to be title with a colon. Our prompt is going to be title, maybe with a question mark. And the default that will appear, if we don't change it, will just be the word title. Now, we're going to change the justification to middle center, and it automatically changed the text height to 0.10 because I have the text style at fixed text. All right, I'm going to click on OK. And what you're going to see is, don't pay attention to where the word title is. The crosshairs is where it's going to go from the middle. So when I click that, you can see it pops into the middle. All right. We're going to do the same thing again for the drawn by. So I'm going to have ATT, and I'm going to put it as designer, and designer, and designer. I just like the word better. Again, we're going to make it middle center justified, fixed text. Well, actually, this should be annotative text, right? Excuse me, attribute text, but it should be the same thing. It's not going to change too much. And you're going to place this in the center. Okay. Then I'm going to do the same thing for the date. So ATTDEF, and I'm going to change this one just a little bit. And the prompt will be date. But then what we're going to do is we're going to come over here. We want to use a field that AutoCAD knows what to do with. So I'm going to come over here and insert an actual field. Look at all the fields that you can use. Okay, there's all sorts of things. You could say the file name, if you wanted to do that, the file size, page number, page size. What we're going to do is date. All right, and you can choose whichever date format you're looking for. I'm going to choose this first one. And again, I'm going to put this middle center. And we'll call it attribute text. And I'm going to put it somewhere here in the middle. I can move these around later, right, if I want to. Okay, so I'm going to assume that I'm happy with what these look like. Okay? Because now what we're going to do is we're going to create a block out of all of this. So right now, when I click on these are all separate lines. These are all separate texts. They're all, everything is not related to each other. And what we want to do is we want to make this into one big block. Right. So I can do that by going up to Insert and Create Block. And it says name your block. And I'm going to name mine JRP Title Block 1. Again, keeping the defaults. And it says, hey, specify the insertion base point. I'm going to suggest that you turn your snaps back on and that you choose this upper right corner. It may come in handy later. Okay. Now it says select the objects. I'm going to come over here, left click, and then drag my mouse so that all those lines are in there. And then left click again, and you can see everything has been selected. Now you have to hit the enter key to say, yes, that is exactly what I really want in the block. Okay. And you'll see these editable fields will appear. For now, we're just going to hit cancel. We don't care about that at the moment. But we've created a block, so watch what happens. Now when I select it, it's all one big thing. Okay? But before we worry about the block, let's go back and finish this layout. All right? So I'm going to scroll back out, pan this down so I have the whole page in here again. All right? And I'm going to go back home and to my layer, and I'm going to choose drawing. So now what we're going to do, we're going to click on the word layout here. Okay, everybody see that? Okay. And now, normally what we've been using has been a standard rectangular layer that AutoCAD creates. We're going to change that a little bit. We're going to make a viewport. Okay, instead of a rectangular one, we're going to make one that's polygonal. Okay. So again, you want to make sure you have snaps and your ortho mode is on. All right. We're going to come down here to that top right-hand corner again when it says endpoint, and we're going to start drawing. Stay inside that line, that dashed line, but get as much of the space as you can. Now when I come down, I want to make sure this lower line, this lower point, matches up the bottom left corner of my title block. So I'm going to come over here, and you can see that it snapped to the title block corner there. And when I slide this back over, it gives me a little X. Use that X to place that line. And then come back over here to the bottom. And then we're going to follow it back up here. Now, when you're doing this last line to close out this polygon, you can either come and draw, click on that last point, or you can hit the C key to close that and hit enter. And that will close that polygon. And look what it did. It created a viewport for you with grids in it already. Okay, don't worry about the grids. We can get rid of those anytime we want to, and I'll show you how. Okay? All right, so now when I go and draw something in model space, okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick run through on an array again, just to kind of refresh your memory and also show you something, how it appears. Okay, so I'm going to hit an array, an arc. I did a 3-point arc, and I want to take my ortho mode off. Otherwise, it makes the 3-point arc really awkward looking. Okay, all right, there we go. I'm going to do a polar array. If I come up here to array, you can also just type array in the dynamic input. I'm going to choose polar array, and it says select the objects. All right. And I'm going to hit enter key to say, yeah, I've selected everything I want. Now we want the base point. I'm going to use this as the base point of my axis rotation, and it gave me 6 arms there, if you will. I want to change that. I'm going to say items by typing I, and I'm going to put in, I don't know, I'm going to go with 100. Okay. But I'm going to make this more of a toroid, if I can say the word. Huh? How's that? By just selecting that grip. Okay. Right click when you're done with it. And then we're going to go back to our layout. Well, wait a minute. Where's our drawing, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to come here and we're going to double click in this. Okay, in this space right here, and then I'm going to double click with the mouse wheel to do a zoom extents. Zoom extents means, hey, zoom to the whole drawing that's there. All right, well, that's still a little bigger than what I want, so I'm going to make it a little bit smaller by using my scroll wheel, just moving it forward or back however I want to. And I can also move the drawing to another spot just by panning it somewhere if I want to do that. Okay, and I want to get rid of that grid. So while I'm in there, the F7 key will take care of that, or you can also come down here and turn off the grid. Okay? Only because I like a clean piece of paper. We're almost done, right? Because now what I want to do is I want to change this. I don't want to say title designer. I'm going to double click on one of these words until I see it appear, until I see the enhanced attribute editor appear. Now for the value for title, I'm going to call this Jude's toroid. Okay, and I'm going to hit apply, and then I'm going to click on designer, and I will say Jude and apply, and then the date, yeah, I'm going to leave it at 2/13/25. That's when I'm making it. So I'm going to click on OK, and notice that these change automatically. All right, so that's how you actually create the layout, but we got one more step to do here. Okay, and in order to make this the way I want it, I'm going to come back here to model space, and I'm going to delete this. Okay. I'm going to highlight the whole thing and delete that. Right? Because what I want to do is I want to save all of this as an AutoCAD template. All right. So we're going to go to File and Save As. And then down here, instead of drawing, we're going to come down here and go to AutoCAD Drawing Template, star.dwt. All right. Give your template a name. You can see I already have one. I named it JRP template because I'm so original here. I'm going to call it Template of Jude. And then I'm going to hit Save. And yes, we want to save all the layers as recorded. I put in a little description here for myself and click on OK. Now check this out. When I go to File and New, I'm going to choose Template of Jude. And when I choose Template of Jude, it will have saved all of my layers that I created. It will have saved my annotation styles that I've made so far. Sorry, come back down here to styles. You can see the different text styles. And it also saves my layout. And again, when I put a drawing here, or I can copy a drawing. If I want to take my geometric bug, for instance, and put this here, I can open the geometric bug. And I can select everything on here and do a Control-C, or whatever it is you do with a Mac. And then go back to this next drawing and go back into Model Space and do a Control-V. Move it wherever I want to. And when I go back to my layout, there's my geometric bug. And again, double-clicking in this opens up the viewport, and I can scale it, I can move it around, I can do whatever I want.